Hi guys, happy 2020. So this is gonna be a video about the next year and I'm doing this one for you from the rooftops of Lisbon. Maybe the audio quality is not gonna be amazing, but therefore I gotta share this view with you. What do you think? I think I made a pretty good escape for Corona. Alright, so let's dive right in. 2021, right? We all thought that 2020 is gonna be the end of the confinement and 2021 is gonna be a new start and everything, and I include myself in that. I had really high hopes for the new year, not because it is a new year, but because astrologically there was quite some significant shifts happening in December and in January this year. But I had to find myself wrong again. I had to find myself being overly optimistic, and I actually have to revise my whole statements of thinking that confinements will end in January 2021. Alright, so in order to bring this into an astrological context, I am first going to start out with the big players in the game, right? So the big planets, the transpersonal planets, and then I'm slowly going to narrow down to smaller players. Okay. So with 2020, it was quite clear that it's going to be a year of suppression, right? And of confinement and of imprisonment, because so many planets were in Capricorn, and Capricorn just is the sign of structures, of the 3D matrix, of the governments, of everything that gives structure to our reality. So we knew that structure is going to be enhanced to a max, to the point where we are literally imprisoned by it, and that's exactly what happened. However, in January now, 2021, Saturn and Jupiter, two of the main players that created this triple conjunction in 2020, that was responsible for the whole Corona scenario. So two of those main players moved to Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of freedom, of the people, of autonomy, of liberation, of revolution. So I thought, Saturn, which represents authority, and Jupiter, which represents the law, and also is a expander, so expands every area where it comes into. I thought them moving to Aquarius would really bring this shift where people start taking the power back into their own hands, and they realize that they have the power, and that they finally feel that they want to take autonomy over their bodies, and that they will reject rules that don't make sense and start investigating for themselves. However, I was probably absolutely wrong with this for two main reasons. The first one is that apparently I really undervalued the role or the strength of Pluto in this whole scenario, because Pluto is still in Capricorn. And the second reason is that I undervalued the state of consciousness of humanity. So there still seems to be a lot of people who are in a state of consciousness where even if you give them authority, they will rather recreate the same oppressive system again, rather than just creating a new free system. So to go more in depth into those two things, so Pluto is the lord of power and of manipulation. So where Pluto is, this is where the power goes, and Pluto is still in Capricorn. So although Saturn and Jupiter moved to Aquarius, moved to the people, are giving more energy to the people and to the community and to freedom, Pluto still seems to keep the power, especially the power of manipulation, like manipulating people's minds. It still gives those power to the governments. And that's going to be the case till 2024. So I now see that between 20 and 24, we're gonna have this really big struggle of autonomy versus oppression. And probably there's gonna be a worsening of the situation before we finally break free. So my new outlook is that the next 4 years are not going to be a lot of fun. So there's going to be this portion of people who are going to recognize the power of Aquarius and the power of autonomy and liberation, and who are going to start fighting for that, but they're going to be fighting until 2024. So the second aspect about people. So I do see, and I still stand behind the fact that with Saturn going to Aquarius, the authority is going to start going to the people. However, what do people do with power or with authority when you give it to them. I thought they would, like stand together and say things like, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna stay confined, we're not gonna follow rules that don't make sense to us. But that's not what happened. Actually, I realized that people don't know how to be free. I realized that this state of unfreeness and of oppression is so deeply ingrained already in the human psyche that even if you give them complete freedom, they will not use it. So it's like the bird in the cage, and you open the cage, but it still stays inside. This is what I see right now with 90% of the people. So what I actually observe is that police and government officials are not even that rigid with imposing the rules. They do say them, or they kind of give us the rules, but on a daily basis, like they're not really pressing on the execution of those rules. However, people still do it. They still do it. And more than that, they go and they assume the role of the oppressor, and they start attacking other people who do take the power for autonomy and do take the power to say, I'm not gonna run around with a mask on a sunny day outside when I'm not close to anybody who I could infect. So people start attacking each other with this power that they have been given, the power of freedom. They use it to create the same oppressive systems that have encaged them. And apparently it will take a long time for them to break out of this and to actually understand how to deal with freedom, and that they can create their own systems. So that was a bit of a disappointment for me, but I'm okay. I mean, I can wait 4 more years. We've been waiting a lifetime for this to happen, for this revolution of freedom and autonomy to happen. So we can wait 4 more years, and I just realized that the evolution of consciousness globally is going to be much slower than I thought, and people are just much more stuck in their ways and unable to change and unable to be free internally. Yeah, so maybe they will need to see the breaking of the rule givers and the people who provide the structure, and they will have to find themselves in chaos in order to be able to finally be free. But let's see. So this is what's going to be happening till 2023, right? Because Saturn is in Aquarius till 2023, so there's autonomy and power going to be going to the people, but they will need some time to start to understand how to live this new freedom. And obviously there's going to be first ones. There's going to be the first ones who recognize this autonomy and are going to go out and try to wake others up and be like, guys, we don't need to do this. There is another way. But those ones are going to be the first ones that are going to be crucified, basically, because majority of people are going to be too scared to be free, and they're going to project all of this frustration that they have about their own inability to break free onto the people who are actually free. They're going to be so triggered by the freedom of others that they're going to be attacking those ones who remain the right, who take the right to freedom. So I do suggest that it is not the best moment to start a revolution, even if you are one of them who says, I see through all of this, I don't, think we should all lock ourselves in our houses forever because there is a virus running around. I really suggest that you don't openly, propagate your opinion yet, because I feel the next 4 years are going to be like a witch hunt. You're going to be haunted by your community members and by the government, and it's not a good moment. I think the best thing for the freedom fighters to do now is to have safe backups, when executing your right to freedom, meaning like always have good explanations or a good good reasoning to give to authority figures or others who challenge you. Stay objective, just discuss with them. Then stay firmly connected to like-minded people, and always remind yourself that you're not alone. And lastly, prepare yourself, like acquire tools. And I would say especially tech tools, tech and digital tools for creating solutions that can contribute to a new system in the future. It's a preparation period, an incubation period. Like, this is an incubation period for you just stay away from all the mess that is going on in the world, because if you put yourself out there now, I feel like you might just yield a lot of aggression and just offer yourself as a projection space for all those who are still unable to execute their right to autonomy and freedom. So don't do that. Don't offer yourself as a projection space. But always keep in mind, that the age of Aquarius is coming and autonomy will manifest, and it will be a moment for you when you will have the chance to execute your ideas and to manifest whatever new freedom and new world order you've been dreaming of for a long time. So just use this energy of Saturn in Aquarius to help you with discipline, because Saturn in Aquarius gives also discipline and diligence to everything connected to Aquarius, and also it gives the power of manifestation, right? So it can mean that you will be able to manifest the community, that you will be able to pull through on sitting down and learning, some new tech skills. It will give you a lot of grounding and manifestation power in this area. And when it comes to Corona, I don't think I'm not gonna do like a detailed analysis about it like I did in 2020. I just think like for the next 10 years, sorry, not 10, oh my god, for the next 4 years, it's or 3 till 2024, it's quite likely that there will be suppression going on. Like the governments, the patriarchy is gonna like have their last screams and their last fights for power, and are gonna try to manipulate us very, very strongly. So I would assume that they will continue with the Corona story because it just works very well for them. Apparently, a lot of people are really buying into it. So yeah, but there is nothing wrong with Corona. And I mean, in the bigger picture, there's nothing wrong in general, not even with the way the governments react. All that is just perfectly fine in the bigger picture, because it's all furthering evolution anyways. I mean, the fact that they impose confinements on us, that is also furthering evolution a lot, especially for those people who have very strong coping mechanisms, like work, like drinking, like alcohol, like socializing, going out. All of those coping mechanisms are going to be taken away from those people who run away from themselves. So they will sit there and have to confront their deep-seated neurosis and dissatisfactions and depressions and their lack of purpose. So this is very necessary. And in the end, for people who do that anyways, the confinement is not going to be too bad either, because most of them have been living in a sort of confinement in their lives anyways, incubating and being more alone and focusing on themselves. So it's not a huge change for us, but it's a necessary step for many, many people. And also in the end, the way the governments react is going to backfire on them finally, and it's going to expose how they tend to abuse events like this in order to gain control or to suppress autonomy in the masses, and to suddenly turn apparent democracy into a dictatorship within one day and impose arbitrary rules on people. So it's all going to backfire and expose basically a lot of people and government officials who just operate out of the wrong motivation. So I feel very positive about this. It's all like a part of the bigger plan. So one last thing I want to say about Saturn moving through Aquarius is that it's going to be especially impactful for 2 generations or 3 generations. So first of all, the generation who had Saturn in Capricorn, which is the generation from February 88 to February 91. They finally passed their Saturn return, so congratulations on that, guys. They are gonna feel a tremendous relief starting on the 21st of December 2020 when Saturn leaves Capricorn finally. They were probably suffering a lot throughout the last 3 years, so they will finally get their relief now. Likewise, the people who have Saturn in Aquarius, which are the ones from February 91 to 3 years plus, they are starting their Saturn return, so they are going to be very highly impacted by this as well. They're going to be really called up to step up as some kind of leaders in this process that the world is going through right now, and they will need to face a lot of fears that they have about breaking free out of their conditioning, as well as growing up and taking responsibility. I mean, everything that is connected to Saturn return is going to be something that they will have to face very strongly in the next 3 years. And then there is people who naturally have personal planets in Aquarius, like Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. So those people are gonna feel a sense of empowerment when Saturn is in Aquarius throughout the next 3 years. They usually feel like, Aquarian people usually feel like nobody understands them and they are ahead of their time and their ideas are kind of weird, and yeah, they feel a bit displaced. And finally with Saturn in Aquarius, they will face some sort of recognition, and more power will be given to them by society, basically. So they will finally be acknowledged for the geniuses that they are, and will be able to manifest some sort of idea or plan that they had and that previously maybe nobody understood. So it's going to be a good time for them, gaining manifestation power and being able to bring something into this world. So during all of these changes with Saturn and Jupiter going to Aquarius, we still have two of the big players, Uranus and Neptune, who stay the same. So they both keep their place, Uranus in Taurus and Neptune in Pisces. So I'll just sum that up quickly because I talked about that a lot in my previous prognosis, especially in the video about Age of Aquarius. So Neptune in Pisces has been there since 2011. It's going to be there till 2026. And it basically marks the transition to us becoming Neptunian humans, which is something I explain in my article on Medium called Prognosis for the Next Millennium. So I explain there how humans are transitioning from one type to another. So we've been Saturnian humans, then we've been Uranian humans, and now, like with Neptune coming into Pisces, we transition to becoming Neptunian humans, which will increase our lifespan, which will add more sensitivity and compassion into our DNA framework. Yeah, a lot of things. So I will put the link to the article down there so you can read it. So Neptune is still there. It shows that we are in a kind of spiritual revolution, basically, since 2011 on a global level. And Neptune has also been in a sextile with the whole Capricorn stellium, which again confirms for me that this whole confinement and imprisonment that has been happening last year has definitely been happening with the support of Neptune. So for our spiritual evolution, and it will ultimately help people to evolve quicker. Uranus in Taurus is about revolutions and especially like big changes towards digitalization in the realm of finances as well as in the realm of the physical body, because that's what Taurus represents, like everything material. So our material physical body and our finances or our possessions. So Uranus there brings upgrades into the spheres, so we can count with a lot of upgrades in the financial market, like it's already happening with cryptos and digitalizing money. And we can also count with a lot of upgrades with our physical bodies, so as to biotech and changes in our nutrition. And yeah, we can already see that massively happening in the world, like a lot of people developing severe food intolerances or having health issues. And yeah, we just need to upgrade our bodies. That's basically what Uranus in Taurus means for me. Alright, so that has been the big players in the field for this year. Most of them stay the same, like Pluto stays in Capricorn, power is still with the government and manipulation is still with the government. Neptune stays in Pisces, spiritual revolution is going on. Uranus stays in Taurus, upgrades in physical and financial sphere are happening. And then we had the change with just Saturn and Jupiter that moved to Aquarius, and they are gonna bring more power to the community, but they first need to learn how to deal with this freedom and this autonomy before we can actually be free and actually gather, because this whole transition will be carried by technology and by community. So no one is gonna go on this journey alone. And we need to learn to connect to people, to connect to our community, to share visions and to pull each other, together in this. We can only come out of this together. No one will do it alone. So yeah, I think that's as much as I want to say regarding the development of Corona. So I don't think it matters to go into a month-by-month analysis about when confinements are going to start, when confinements are going to end. I think we really need to rather keep in mind why this is happening and the whole underlying purpose and how we can best react to it, which is by just firmly developing our autonomy and our thinking for ourselves instead of just blindly following rules. And it doesn't really matter with Corona. It just matters that the fact is that governments are going to try to suppress in the next 4 years. And if it's not Corona, that's going to be a next thing. So maybe it's going to be vaccines that they're going to start suppressing with the vaccines, like discriminating against people who don't get them and so on. So there's going to be a lot of maybe new and evolving ways of suppression or of restricting freedoms throughout the next years. And that's what's, I guess, just important to know. All right, the next big player, he's not a big planet, it's Mars, but he was important throughout the last year because he spent 6 months in Aries from July till January 7th now. So that's very, very unusual because Mars usually takes 1.5, 2 months to move through a sign, and him staying for 6 months in the same sign is just, very unusual because he went retrograde and thereby didn't exit Aries but stayed in Aries, right? So he went back and forth throughout Aries for 6 months. And Aries is, as we know, a pretty, I wouldn't say violent, but let's say just self-serving sign. So with Mars in Aries, a lot of aggression was built up in people and everybody was just basically looking out for themselves and caring about whatever they want, being very aggressive with asserting their own needs and their own will, and it all culminated on the last day of Mars in Aries on the 6th of January with people breaking into the parliament in the US. So this was basically literally the last day of Mars in Aries where this whole energy reached its high point, and it was just very interesting to see that this is how it went down. However, that is over, so this whole build-up of aggression inside is slowly gonna calm down now. But while Mars is in conjunction with Uranus, which is still all of January, there's still gonna be some volatile outbursts of aggression here and there. So don't yet, feel safe. This whole build-up of aggression for people who have been suppressing it or have not been dealing with it, there can be some volatile outbursts of aggression happening throughout this month. Especially because in the first part of January, Mars was squaring Mercury. So Mars squaring Mercury means there is just not much rationality in verbal arguments, and that competitive, ego-driven conversations can be very likely, that there can be rash actions that are not very well thought through, and a lot of maybe just fights, discussions that in afterwards you just think what the hell was I doing there? Why did I not just relax? But with Mars conjuncting Uranus and squaring Mercury, there's just not much rationality going on. That's till mid-January. But then we have till basically the end of January or mid-February, we still have Mars squaring Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn, which represents the legislation and the law, and not law, law is Jupiter, but the governments and the authorities. And then Jupiter represents laws and legislation, so Mars is squaring that, so there can also still be a lot of conflicts. It's not a good moment to kind of confront yourself or go into conflict with authorities, because they can act out very aggressively, or there can be just a lot of unexpected problems with bureaucracy as well while this transit lasts. So just be aware of that if you're traveling or if you're feeling like you need to fight with a police officer. So just keep it calm till mid-February, and then Mars also left the conjunction with Uranus, and he will still be in Taurus, but it's gonna finally be more relaxed. And then he moves into Gemini on the 4th of March, where he will be trining Jupiter and Saturn, so the opposite energy is happening. So there's gonna be more opportunities to have, workarounds around laws that you don't like, or maybe be lucky in your travels and come through to places where you shouldn't be coming through. So that's in March and April. And then end of April he moves into Cancer, where Mars is in his fall and will also be squaring Pluto. Governmental, suppression and power manipulation. So I'm expecting that people will feel a little beaten down, that they will not have much energy, that there's maybe going to be some new rules that really suppress us, and we're not going to feel like we have the power to fight, because Mars is going to be debilitated in Cancer. So let's see how that works out for us. Also, mid-April to mid-May just seems like a generally unstable period, because there is Venus, Mercury and Sun conjuncting Uranus all throughout this month. So there can be a lot of unexpected changes and volatility in any area where these planets are in your chart. So something is happening in April, May from a few sides. And we probably just need to be prepared for some maybe new rules, or just keep our adaptability open and be maybe ready to make some quick adjustments if necessary, like, I don't know, change the country, or change relationship with Venus conjuncting Uranus, change your mindset with Mercury conjuncting Uranus. Let's see what this will bring. But I would just say with Mars moving into Cancer, it seems like we feel a bit unmotivated, and then a lot of changes happening in spheres of Venus, relationships, Mercury, mindset and Sun identity. Can be a bit of an unstable month. But since Uranus is always aligned with some higher purpose, I believe that whatever unexpected events happen are going to be for the ultimate good. Because Uranus is this planet that brings on really crazy and sudden changes that we don't understand, and we can't see the good in them, but ultimately they are for the good. Like, I don't know, you're planning a journey for a long time, and 1 week before the journey you just land in the hospital and you can't go anymore. But in the end, you don't know that on this journey into the jungle you maybe would have died. So this whole hospital stay actually saved your life. So this is how Uranus acts. He kind of brings on unexpected, unforeseen events that are for the higher good, and maybe we will never find out what this higher good is in the end, but we just need to know that he always aligns us with something better. So additionally to Mars moving into Cancer and Venus, Mercury and the Sun dancing around Uranus in this period of April and May, we've got Jupiter moving into Pisces in May. Pisces is the sign of spirituality and of hope and of basically surrender. And Jupiter amplifies everything he moves into, right? So he's been in Capricorn for the entire 2020, so he's been amplifying the power of the governments and he's been amplifying the confinement. Then for a tiny period of time, from January to May, he's been in Aquarius, so he will really push science and technology in that time. And then he moves into Pisces in May. So together with Mars in Cancer, which also signifies some kind of surrender, and not having the energy to fight anymore, Jupiter additionally for me signifies that we will need to surrender to something, like to all the changes, to everything that's going on. Like in May we will just need to surrender. There's going to be no fighting anymore, and we will just need to find our way back to hope and to believe. This will be a time where people will withdraw within themselves and search for some higher meaning that can carry them through all of these difficulties. So Jupiter will be in Pisces from May to August, 2 months. So we get a taster basically of Jupiter in Pisces, and then it will go back to Aquarius until next year. And next year we will have it in Pisces for good. Then we will see what this is all about with finding the new belief and why it was so meaningful for us to find that. But yeah, whatever starts for you in May, now in May to August, in terms of internal connection to a higher purpose, is going to pause from August to January, and then January next year it's going to start becoming contextualized, so you will understand what for you made this internal changes and connected yourself to a higher purpose. Okay. Then the last but very important thing are the moon's nodes, right? So the moon's nodes always represent an underlying red thread of everything that is happening. So it kind of holds together the whole mess that is happening and guides it towards a special or specific purpose. So the last signs of the moon's nodes were Capricorn and Cancer. So when the whole COVID situation started, the nodes were still in Capricorn and Cancer. So I do see that the whole purpose of the Corona story in terms of the nodes was also to break away from Capricorn, which was the south node and which represents the governments and the institutions and our structures, and go towards Cancer, which is our internal world and our feelings and our emotions. So we really had to retrieve into that. Now the nodes last year in May, actually not now, they shifted to Gemini and Sagittarius, and they will be there for 1.5 years, so entire 2021. And Gemini is the north node, which means the ones we're directed towards. And Gemini represents open-mindedness and adaptability. So this whole underlying thread is to make us more adaptable to change, and make us more open-minded, so we can quickly shift from one way of life to another, because that's going to be necessary in the world of tomorrow. It's maybe not going to be as stable as it was before, once when the age of Aquarius begins and Pluto moves into Aquarius. So we need a certain adaptability and a certain open-mindedness in order to exist. So the opposite of Gemini is Sagittarius, which is not closed-mindedness, but basically being very, very dogmatic and having this firm belief that there's only one truth and only one worldview, and sticking to that. So this is coming up for a lot of people as well now. They're stubbornness is being challenged. So they need to realize that there is not one truth out there, and they need to open up their minds and look at life and at the truth from other perspectives, which is Gemini. Gemini is being able to look at everything from all perspectives at the same time, which is a skill people really struggle with, but it's going to be very necessary in the next year. So we have to let go of what we believe is true, of all the foundations, beliefs and values that we base our life on, and we have to open up towards something else. This for me is the whole purpose of the Gemini Sagittarius nodes. Also, Sagittarius represents travels and foreign lands and everything that is different from us. So that is obviously also being blocked right now, as we are supposed to let go of that, and we're supposed to turn towards Gemini, which is more local communities. So build local communities, collect information, share information, connect with people. This is so important for building the age of Aquarius right now, to really become autonomous with collecting information and sharing information and connecting with the people around you. So these are the two main kind of purposes that we need to look out for during this nodal transit of Gemini Sagittarius. So open up your mind, let go of your firm built in stone beliefs, and collect your own information, collect even the information for the beliefs that are contrary to what you believe, which is very important, and connect to the community around you. So guys, this is basically the most important things I have to say for this year, the most important guidelines that I can give you in order to how to deal with all of this. And yeah, I hope this helps, I hope this resonates with somebody out there, and I'm looking forward to your comments as always and to exchanging more views about this, right? Let's keep our minds open with Gemini and hear a lot of different views on this topic. See you next time.